everyone, welcome. This is Wendy with Love and Stampin'. I am so excited you're here with me today. We are going to make such a cute card, but before we get started, I want to just give you a few quick updates. So, of course, you know the Waves of the Ocean collection is still available through May 2nd, and it's beautiful products. This is a special offering that Stampin' Up! Has right now. And if you want any of these products, you can get them in my online store. There's a link below this video in the description that is a link to my online store. Also, pretty much everything you need to know is linked below the video. So anytime you have questions about where do I find something, or where's her host codes or any of that, you can always find it below my videos. And if it's not there, it's just because I made a human error and forgot to add it. The next thing that I want to remind you of is the amazing 20% off sale Stampin' Up! Has going on right now. You can get 20% off the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to make it just $48. And you can get 20% off 13 different bundles. One of those bundles is a bundle I'm using today. The Sweet as Peach bundle is $41 in the catalog, but it's marked down to $32.75 right now. This sale only goes till March 31st, so you want to make sure that you jump on this. And then, of course, I have free gifts when you place an order with me. You have two choices. You can place a $100 order or more and use this host code and receive this packet of goodies for free. So I've got the Mischievous Mice, a pack of the beautiful Sunshine and Rainbow paper, and a roll of Daffodil Delight ribbon. And then if you place a $50 online order and you use this host code, you get the Playing with Patterns resin dots. So that's the special offers I have going on for the month of March. We also were just told yesterday, or today technically, that Stampin' Up! Is going to be increasing their shipping just a tiny bit, $1 in the US or 1%. So if your order is under $69, or maybe $79 now, your order will be $7.95 to ship, and over that 69 or 79, I need to look it up, will be 11%. Like everything else, inflation, inflation, inflation. So, you know, they haven't raised shipping in over a decade, over 10 years. So I'm not really upset about it. It sucks because the price of everything is going up, but it is what it is. So I'm here to tell you that if you have stuff you want to order or stock up on, you will save a little bit of money if you order before April 1st. So it's kind of an additional savings on top of like the 20% off, because as of April 1st, they will increase those rates a little bit. Okay, so let's jump into project mode. So first things first, I don't have a project sheet for you today because, at least I don't think, now I can't remember. I don't think I made a project sheet for you. Let me double check. Because this isn't really a project sheet project. You know what I'm saying? Like there's really no, measurements that you have to remember or anything like that. This is just more of a really fun stamping technique that I want to share with you. So it's one that's been around for a long time. I've seen it done a million different ways, and I have multiple samples to share with you today. But I thought we would just do it here. In fact, I posted in the chat that if you want to play along with me, you need a white stamp pad. So I'm using the Whisper White Pigment ink pad. This, let me grab that's watermark. Hold on. Do I have it? Oh, here it is. So this is in the catalog, and it comes with the refill because the pad actually comes dry. So when you purchase this, you're gonna get the pad completely dry, and then you have to use your refill to ink it up. So mine's inked up nicely because I've been playing with this, but these do come together when you purchase them in the catalog. This still says Whisper White. I don't know if they've changed that since I purchased mine, but it's the same thing. So pigment ink, let's talk about that for just a second before we move on. Pigment ink is exactly that, pigment based. It is not water based. So pigment tends to sit on the surface of whatever you stamp on, but it is a permanent non-water, it's a water resistant. So anytime you're watercoloring, you would use like Stays On ink. It's a pigment based ink also. This one is thick. It's kind of like a thick sticky ink, and same as Versamark, and it will sit on top of whatever you're stamping. And these are great for stamping on non-porous projects too, like tile. I don't know what else you would stamp on, but I know one of the things that's really fun to do is take a little tile and stamp images on it and use those as coasters. And you would use a pigment-based ink to do that, not a water-based ink, because obviously as soon as the water hits it, it's just going to wipe right off. That will not happen with a pigment-based ink. Okay, they take longer to dry, they sit on your surface, so you're gonna see a few tips and tricks here today. Okay, so I have just a piece of crumb cake cardstock cut at 4 by 5 1/4 and a card base at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. These cards are what I would consider a fantastic option for like a little more than a beginner, but definitely not advanced. The only reason they're a little more than a beginner in my mind is just simply because when you are stamping with pigment-based inks, you do have to have the understanding and knowledge of the fact that they can smear easily, that they can make a mess easily. So if you're brand new to stamping and you're already have a little bit of trepidation about stamping in general, and you were to go out the gate using a pigment ink, you might find yourself feeling very unsuccessful. In reality, it's doing what it's meant to do. It's just you have to know how to treat it, if that makes sense. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by inking up this peach with the white ink, and we're gonna stamp down, straight and straight up. And now we have this really beautiful little white image that we're gonna decorate and make it cuter, but for now we're gonna go with that. And then we're basically going to stamp all the things we want to stamp in white. So I'm gonna grab these little leaves and stamp these. Now, one of the things that you will find with pigment ink is it will slide. So if you don't have a steady hand, like me, I don't have a very steady hand, I like to use 2 hands so that I can make sure I'm going straight down and straight up, because it will wiggle around on you and slide. Because again, that ink is not soaking into the paper, it's sitting on the top of the paper. So you just want to make sure when you are stamping with it that you are getting a really good impression by going straight down and straight up. No wiggling. Okay, let me get... I was using up my clear blocks for another project. I've got a fun Easter class coming out this weekend, so you guys can watch out for that too. Okay, there's that. And then I need to stamp the coordinating peaches. Okay, so here's another thing I want to share with you. I'm going to set this aside. These are now dirty and they are a mess to clean. So when I go to clean them, I try not to use my Stampin' pad because it just fills the whole thing with white pigment ink that then can stick to other stuff. So in this case, you can use a Stays On ink cleaner to clean these off. You can also wipe these off with like baby wipes or simply chamois, which I don't have one right now. Mine got destroyed. We won't name names and who destroyed it, but it got destroyed. So there's lots of ways you can clean them off. I prefer not to use my Stampin' scrub, but in this case, I'm probably going to have to. So then in order to clean my Stampin' scrub, I will take it in my house and clean it with some Dawn dish soap under the kitchen sink with warm water and really scrub it out. These, I want to show you guys this really quick. These pop out if you don't already know that. So let me show you. If you take, you got to get something under it, but these, oh, and now I'm messing up my project. These pop out like this. So you can take these out and you can wash them really good. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna clean my stamps because I don't want this pigment ink sitting on my stamps for too long. I'm almost out of Stampin' Mist too. You guys, what kind of demonstrator am I? We'll just do this. Okay. Now watch what happens when I go to clean this. It's gonna come off the stamp, but you see the mess it's making? And it gets the clear block all icky. So this is not my favorite way to clean these stamps, but I don't have a Simply Chamois to clean it with. So we're just making do to get the stamp clean because we got to get it clean for our next stamping. And then I'll worry about cleaning up this later. Yeah, I'm ultimately here just kind of making a mess. But the good news is it's all fixable. It's all cleanable. So this actually does work great. It's just I have to have that extra step then of going in the house and cleaning this off. Lucky for me, I have several Stampin' scrubs. I have 4 of them. So when I'm done with this, I just won't use this one again until I can get it in the house and clean it up. Okay. Let's go to our next thing we need to stamp. And I have managed to get some of the fuzzies from the Stampin' Scrub in my project. So we're gonna fix that. And you can see this ink is still wet. So as I'm gouging into this image, it is actually making little spots on it. Okay. Luckily, it's going to be fine because of what the technique we're doing. All right, we're going to ink up these little peaches here. And got to remember how this stamps. Does it go like this? I think it goes like this. Yes. Stamping down and up. Okay. So there's the start. Now I'm going to clean this off. And now what we need to do, I've gotten pigment ink on my countertop. Good Lord. Okay, we're going to close this. Safety. Safety first. Okay, so now somebody's asking, I just caught a glimpse that somebody's asking how to clean the stamps with StazOn. StazOn cleaner comes in a little bottle and it's got like a little scrubby brush on the end and you just roll it right over the top of this. Mine is around here somewhere, but I don't know where it's at. And then you can just wipe it clean. However, they say that you really shouldn't use StazOn cleaner with photopolymer stamps. I've never had a problem with it, but they say it can break down the stamp. So it's kind of up to you if you want to risk it or not. All right, now I've got my heat tool here. And I'm going to turn it on and let it get nice and hot. So you're going to have to endure hearing it for just a second. Stampin' Up! Has a really great heat tool. It's got 2 settings. Here's the lower one. So it's got a low, which is great for heat embossing on vellum and other things like acetate, and then it's got a high, which is great for drying things like this. I've been asked before, can you use a blow dryer to heat emboss? No, you cannot. It doesn't get hot enough. This air coming out of here gets super, super hot. So you also always want to have a pair of tweezers on hand to handle small objects so that you don't burn your fingers, because it will burn you. So now we're gonna go and just run this heat over the top of my stamped images. And as you can see, I'm moving my fingers away from where I'm heating. And I'm just wanting this to dry that pigment ink as best I can before I do my stamping, my next stamping. Okay, we're almost to the point that it's dry. And then I can just do this. And I can tell it's dry enough for stamping. So we're gonna move forward with our stamping. All right, so now I've got Pear Pizzazz ink, and I'm going to come in and ink up with Pear Pizzazz. And then I'm going to stamp off of the white. So I'm not stamping, I'm not trying to line this up perfect. Instead, I'm trying to stamp it kind of off to the left a little bit. So here you can see it's left this little white rim, and the ink is right over the top. And so we're gonna, since we already have Pear Pizzazz open, we're gonna do exactly the same thing here. You just want to work on getting everything lined up as best you can. And stamping. And then you see that white line around the outside, which is just beautiful. And then for the next one, we are going to use Pale Papaya and Calypso Coral. So the way we're going to ink this up is we're going to start with the lighter ink. Oh my goodness, my puppy's outside wanting in. Remember I told you guys I was going to start locking them up? I did lock up the puppy, but I forgot to lock up Trudy. Okay. Lay down and behave yourself, ma'am. All right, so she's finding her spot and laying down and behaving herself. All right, so we're going to ink up with Pale Papaya. Let's bring this in here. And I'm going to use, I wish you guys could see her right now because she's going, I have 4 dog beds in my office. She's going from dog bed to dog bed to dog bed to decide where she wants to be. It's so funny. Okay, so we're going to use Calypso Coral, and I've got a little Stampin' dauber here. This is a little sponge dauber, fits on the end of your finger. And it's great for this technique. So we're inking up in Pale Papaya, and then we're gonna come in with our sponge dauber and pick some ink up from the Calypso Coral. And we're just gonna go around the edge here of this peach. And then kind of stamp back into the Pale Papaya. And that just kind of softens the Calypso Coral. And then we're going to stamp off, and voila, we've got this beautiful peach image. You can even see the white peeking through here because this is a distinctive type stamp, so it's not solid right there. Okay, so then we're going to do exactly the same thing with these guys. We're going to ink them up. And then we're going to come in with our sponge dauber, and we're just going to ink the edges a little bit, and then we're going to stamp off. I'm trying to line them up here. The fantastic thing about this technique is it's very forgiving. Okay, you don't have to be perfect with it. As you can see, this turned out beautiful, and I didn't do it perfect. My leaves here are really good. My peaches here, I stamped off just a little too far, and same with this peach. But really, ultimately, you don't look at the card and feel that. It just kind of has like this very artistic feel to it, and that's ultimately what I wanted, and so I'm happy with it. So I'm going to add a little bit more up here because I just feel like it's a little barren up here, and we're going to add our sentiment down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my white ink back out. I actually didn't plan to do this originally, but I've decided I want to. and we're gonna start with our white pigment. And I'm just gonna stamp kind of like off so that it's not, I don't want the whole image in there, right? So we're gonna clean that up. I'm just doing it off camera here on my Stampin' Scrub because it's easier. And then we're gonna ink up into that Pear Pizzazz. Now this isn't dry all the way, so I'm gonna be really careful not to smudge. Just stamping down and straight up, and there we go. And then we're gonna do the same thing with these little peaches. I wanna make sure I'm doing this right. Uh-oh, it's probably too wet. It's okay. Remember how I said this technique is forgiving? It is. You don't have to get everything lined up perfectly. You really can kind of wing it, for lack of a better word. Okay, we're gonna decorate these guys up a little. And then we're just gonna go for it. There we go. That's not as good of an image, but I don't care. I'm fine with it. It's still very pretty. And again, you're going for more of that artistic feel and not perfectionism stamping, which is a hot struggle for me because that is who I am. I like everything just perfect. So, oh, they might be blueberries, but to me, they're little peaches. They very well could be little blueberries. You can also use the flowers in this set. All right, so now we're gonna move on to decorating, okay? Like finishing out the card. So I've got my scraps of Calypso Coral here. And I'm going to cut, this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm gonna cut this at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Okay. Now this is still wet, so I don't want to like flip this over and mess it up. So what I'm going to do is come back in with my heat tool, and we're just going to heat set this a little bit and get it nice and dry. Okay, I still don't think it's dry all the way, so I'm just going to be super careful with this. And I'm going to add my Stampin' Seal to the center of my Calypso Coral and then add this piece onto that. And that just keeps me from smudging and messing up my stamping that I just did, because I don't like to redo things. All right. All right, and then we're gonna stamp the sentiment. Let me grab a scrap piece of cardstock. So I have a little scrap of white here, and we're gonna do happy birthday because I always need birthday cards. I need birthday cards more than I need anything else. So I always gravitate towards birthday sentiments when I am stamping. And don't forget, this bundle that I'm using today is 20% off. So if you want to pick this one up, it is on sale till March 31st, 2022. All right, let's see. We're gonna cut this down. So this is my favorite way to do sentiments, is to stamp them on scrap paper and then cut them down. I prefer this over like trying to cut the piece of cardstock the right size and then stamping. I prefer to do it this way. I think that often I come out more successful if I do it this way. And then we're gonna just do a little ribbon tail on the end. Fishtail, ribbon tail, whatever you wanna call it. And we're just gonna add it right here. And then I have several other samples to show you guys that I think you're gonna like. So we'll add this guy like this. And then no card is really complete without a little bit of bling, am I right? So I'm going into my bling drawer here, seeing what I want to add. And I'm thinking, I have not used these butterflies yet, but I feel like this could be a good card for that. What do you guys think? Do we think butterflies? Or, let's see, what else do I have? I'm trying to go out of my comfort zone and use stuff that I don't usually use. Really don't know that anything else would go great. These guys will go good with everything. These are the iridescent rhinestones. So what do you guys think? Butterflies or iridescent rhinestones for this card? I would love to know what you think. While I am waiting for some responses to see what you like and what you think, and there is a major delay today on the computer. I can tell because I'm watching on the computer. So there's a large delay. So while you guys are deciding between rhinestones and butterflies, I just want to quickly go over the sale again, and this will just buy me a little bit of time. So there's 20% off of all of these bundles. So today's bundle would be $32.75 and it was regularly $41. So if you are interested in any of those products, there are links below the video for that. I also am sending an email out tomorrow to get a feel for who would like a catalog from me. So if you're not already on my email list, please join my email list. There is a link below the video. If you click the description, go all the way down to the very, 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 very bottom and use that link and you can sign up for my emails. Okay, many of you are saying butterflies. We definitely have some rhinestones. Sarah wants bees. I think butterflies is winning. So we're gonna go with butterflies and we're gonna see how it looks. I haven't used these yet, so I'm kind of anxious to use them anyway. Maybe we'll just do one butterfly because that's a little bit more my speed. I feel like these are not something I want to use a whole bunch of. We're just gonna have this little butterfly sitting on top of the sentiment. What do you guys think? I kind of like that. Okay. I'm a clean and simple girl when it comes to my card making. You guys know that. All right, now I'm going to show here. And this sample is for you only that have watched the YouTube live. It's not on my blog. So the other samples will be on my blog, but this one will not. So I probably will post it on my Instagram. But that's kind of a fun thing to have a special one just for my YouTube live. Those that don't watch the video won't get to see this fun one. Okay, now we'll remove all the backing. And then we'll add this to our card front. And we're done. So super simple. But isn't it gorgeous? I just feel like it has such a cool finished look. All right, let's check out the other samples I made for you and a couple mistakes I saved to show you. So here's the first one. So this is ghost stamping without any stamping additional. This is just stamping in the white. And I used the Amazing Silhouettes to do that image. And then I cut out the "You Are Amazing." But the thing I did to step this card up is I actually dry embossed this. So I don't know if you can see, but the paper is embossed. So I did my stamping first, let it dry, and then I embossed it, and then I added the sentiment on the top. So I really like how this one turned out. And then I used those fun hexagons to decorate. Then I did this one where I used the Cactus bundle, Cactus Cuties bundle, to stamp my pot and cactus. I took a white pencil and I just colored a little bit underneath the pot to kind of anchor that pot. And then I stamped just a note in white. I layered it with fresh freesia cardstock and white cardstock underneath to just kind of pull that fresh freesia from the pot into the card a little bit more. And that is how I did this one. And then of course I added those iridescent rhinestones all over the cactus. And then this one might be my very favorite. This one uses the Biggest Wish stamp set. I used the Hello sentiment, stamped it in different colors all over the card base. Then I took this twine and wrapped it around. I used these hexagon dots again. And then I grabbed the Whiskey Business stamp set and I added this sentiment in white heat embossing. I popped this up, and this layer with the twine is popped up, and the white layer is glued flat. So it just kind of gives a lot of really cool dimension to this card. I just love how this card turned out. So those are my wins in my ghost stamping. You all are so awesome that are leaving the yellow and blue hearts for Ukraine. That's really sweet. Okay, so this is kind of my fails. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's up to you. I used soft suede cardstock here, and I stamped the big background stamps with these images in the Pigment white ink. Now, originally I thought this would turn out a lot different, and so I was a little disappointed in how these turned out. This is stamping on Sahara sand, which gave it almost no color whatsoever. Oh, it looks like a lot of you are having trouble seeing the video. Hopefully the replay will be perfect. So these were kind of like my meh. I wasn't crazy about them. I ended up not even making a card with them. These are this is the stacked stone, and I just feel like it was probably too close together and too much to come out just right. So that's those. So there are my cards for today. I really love how all of these turned out. I hope that you try the ghost stamping technique. Now that we're finished with the demonstration, I'm going to go and look on if any of you have any questions or anything like that so that I can answer those. Hello, everybody. Oh, I'm so glad you caught me live too, Patricia. She's in Switzerland. Oh, good. Brenda's always wondered about this ink. Well, I'm glad I'm sharing it with you today then. Hello in Niagara Falls. Thank you, Nancy. Love this technique. Everybody give a thumbs up. You're so sweet. Thank you, Rose. It really is beautiful. Yes, it is. I'm loving your guys' comments. Thank you so much. This whole time I thought the little round one, oh yeah, we talked about that. They can be blueberries. Yeah, they could be used as grapes, blueberries. I mean, really, who cares, right? Just checking. Peaches, so simple and pretty. Yeah, I know. That's what's great about all of these cards. All of these cards are very simple, but they're so beautiful. Like, you know, sometimes I think it's just so easy to get caught up in trying to do all the fancy things, and it's just not always necessary. Oh, I made Darlene add the cactus cuties to her wish list. It's so cute. I don't know how anyone could resist. I just love the cactus cuties. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I don't see anybody sending any questions. I love how all these turned out. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope you try this technique. If you try this technique, please share it with me. Send me an email with a photo. Tell me what your wins and fails were with creating with it. It is one of those techniques that takes a little bit of practice, just because if you move your hand at all or anything and you smear the white ink too bad, then it can be hard to recover from. But it is also a very forgiving technique, as I said earlier. So like here on my hello here, you can see that my red didn't stamp all the way, and really, unless I pointed that out, you probably wouldn't have even noticed. And if you're overly critical about stuff when you're looking at other people's stuff, I would just say maybe, you know, think, hey, they did their best. So I try to remember we are handmade, not Hallmark, and I just love making these cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you need any of the Stampin' Up! Products I shared today, there are links below the video. The measurements and supply list is over on my blog. There's really no measurements today because these are all very basic measurements, but there is a supply list and there are photos of these cards. So if you want to check them out a little bit closer, that's great. I also always appreciate it when you go to my blog and you pin the photos to your Pinterest page. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Bye-bye.